What if the blueprint for a star wasn't hidden in some dense physics textbook, but was actually laid out in an ancient song? Well, that's what we're diving into today. We're exploring a really fascinating interpretation of a Vedic hymn that claims to do just that, to decode the secret symphony that powers every single star.
It's a pretty wild question, right? And it's really at the heart of what we're looking at here. The source material we're exploring suggests that thousands of years ago, a sacred text described the actual physics of a star, not with complex equations, but with poetry and metaphor.
All right, let's get into it. Section 1, the star's secret hymn. This interpretation looks at what goes on inside a star through a really unique and, honestly, unexpected lens.
So, the central idea here is this powerful metaphor. Instead of seeing a star as just a chaotic, violent explosion, this interpretation describes it as a yagya, a perfectly orchestrated cosmic ritual. Think of it like a grand ceremony where every single action has a purpose, all leading toward the creation of light and life.
Okay, Section 2, Prana and Apana, the cosmic breath. Now, every ritual needs some fundamental forces to drive it, and in this cosmic yagya, those two forces are called Prana and Apana.
So what are these things? Well, the source presents Prana and Apana as the two primary opposing energies of the entire universe. You can almost imagine them as a kind of cosmic breath, a constant inhale and exhale. And it's the tension, the dynamic interaction between these two forces that, according to the text, gives birth to literally all matter and energy.
Now, when Prana and Apana come together, they don't just, cancel each other out. Their union is said to create something totally new. 19 distinct forms of energy waves. The text calls them Chhanda Rashmis, or translated, verse rays. And you got to remember these 19 rays because they are the key players in our star's story.
But here's the thing, a star's core isn't some peaceful, serene place. No, according to this interpretation, it's a battleground, a constant, raging struggle between the forces of creation and the forces of chaos.
And this is a really fundamental conflict. On one side, you've got the creative forces. You have Prana and Apana driving nuclear fusion, creating light and heat. But opposing them are what the text calls destructive forces. Things like a violent dark energy and dark winds that create blockages and try to disrupt the whole process. So how did the creative forces actually win this battle? The answer, according to the text, lies with our 19 heroes, the cosmic rays. They act as the conductors of this whole cosmic ritual.
I want you to think of these 19 rays as the conductors of a cosmic orchestra. They aren't just raw power, they're described as intelligent, purposeful energies. Their job is to manage the chaos, guide the ritual, and make sure that the creative process of nuclear fusion can happen smoothly.
And the functions of these 19 rays kind of fall into three main jobs. First, they ignite the forge. Second, they have to tame the chaos. And third, they orchestrate the flow. Okay, let's break down what each of those actually means. So, the first group of rays, they're basically the engine starters. They're the ones creating intense fire from compressed prana, generating electricity and maintaining that immense heat in the core that nuclear fusion absolutely depends on. The second group, they act as the star's defense system. They actively fight back against those destructive forces we talked about, destroying dark winds, removing particles that get in the way, and shielding the whole delicate process from harm.
And finally, the third group, they're the logistics managers. They create protected pathways for energy and particles, making sure everything flows exactly where it needs to go without any obstruction, keeping the entire system running in perfect harmony.
So, when you put all of those pieces together, the forge, the shield, and the managers, what do you get? Well, you get a universe that is fundamentally in harmony, and it's all beautifully expressed inside of a single star. And this quote from the source's own summary just nails the final outcome. The creative electric fire shatters that obstructive dark energy which allows the star's lifeblood, the fusion process, to run smoothly. The battle is won.
But here's the really crucial part. It's not one ray doing one little job. No way. It's all 19 of them working together as a single, coordinated system, a true symphony. Each one has its own distinct role, but it's their collective, harmonious action that brings order from the chaos and allows a star to shine.
And so the ritual concludes. The chaos has been tamed, the energy has been harnessed, and the result is what we see. A stable, balanced, light-producing star. The cosmic yajna, just as described in this ancient hymn, is a success.
This whole interpretation leaves us with a pretty fascinating thought to chew on. You know, we often think of the universe as this giant, cold machine that's just governed by impersonal laws. But what if this ancient text is suggesting a completely different point of view? What if the cosmos is less like a machine and more like a symphony?